Hello and welcome. I'm Ed, and my wife Mary and I are Branch Davidian Seventh-day Adventists. Mary is away helping my daughter and son-in-law who just gave birth to our first grandchild, Vivian. We're excited you're joining us today. We present or expound on a principle or belief related to the SDA Sabbath School Quarterly each week. The Sabbath School lesson for this quarter is on the book of Isaiah. This week's lesson is entitled Crisis of Leadership and focuses on Isaiah 6. Monday's lesson discusses Isaiah's vision of the seraphim. It reads, "While taken in vision, Isaiah gazed upon the blazing glory of God upon his throne, heard the antiphony of shining seraphim, burning ones, calling out the words, 'Holy, holy, holy,' felt the resultant seismic shaking of the floor beneath him, and peered through swirling smoke as it filled the temple." It must have been a stunning experience for the prophet. For sure, Isaiah now knew who was in control despite outward events. Ellen White was inspired to tell us, "Let God's workmen study the 6th chapter of Isaiah and the 1st and 2nd chapters of Ezekiel." We will take one step towards that end today, although this will only be the tip of the iceberg. More studies on Isaiah 6 and Ezekiel 1 and 2 will be linked in the description below. Today we're going to take a deeper look into the circumstances of Uzziah's death because it has some significant overlaps with Isaiah's vision. This vision was given to Isaiah in the year that Uzziah, king of Judah, died after a prosperous reign of more than 50 years, and the nation was seeking direction for the future. The most important thing to first understand before reading the vision is that 2 Chronicles 26, 16 through 21 records Uzziah going into the temple and trying to make an offering at the altar of incense. This was forbidden, and Yahweh struck him with leprosy, which, as we know from Ellen White, was a symbol of sin. For example, she said, "Those for whom you labor are your brethren in distress, suffering from physical disorders and the spiritual leprosy of sin." Uzziah was on quarantine in an isolated house until the day he died. In Prophets and Kings, Ellen White said, "The sin that resulted so disastrously to Uzziah was one of presumption. In violation of a plain command of Jehovah that none but the descendants of Aaron should officiate as priests, the king entered the sanctuary to burn incense upon the altar. Azariah, the high priest, and his associates remonstrated and pleaded to him to turn from his purpose. 'Thou hast trespassed,' they urge, 'neither shall it be for thine honor.' Uzziah was filled with wrath that he, the king, should be thus rebuked, but he was not permitted to profane the sanctuary against the united protest of those in authority. While standing there in wrathful rebellion, he was suddenly smitten with a divine judgment. Leprosy appeared on his forehead. In dismay he fled, never again to enter the temple courts. Unto the day of his death, some years later, Uzziah remained a leper, a living example of the folly of departing from the plain, 'Thus saith the Lord.' Neither his exalted position nor his long life of service could be pleaded as an excuse for the presumptuous sin by which he marred the closing years of his reign and brought upon himself the judgment of heaven. When Isaiah saw his vision with the seraph approaching him with coals from the altar, he probably thought he was about to be cursed too. He did say, 'Woe is me,' after all. But instead of being cursed with leprosy, a symbol of sin, when the coal was touched to his lips, the seraph said that his sin was forgiven, wiped away. This is a reversal of the curse of Uzziah. So let's start reading Isaiah 6, 1 through 7. It reads, "In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, high and lifted up, and the train of his robe filled the temple. Above it stood seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one cried to another and said, 'Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory.' And the posts of the door were shaken by the voice of him who cried out, and the house was filled with smoke. So I said, 'Woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts.' Then one of the seraphim flew to me, having in his hand a live coal, which he had taken with the tongs from the altar. And he touched my mouth with it, and said, Behold, this has touched your lips. Your iniquity is taken away, and your sin purged. Now, providing the evidence for the meaning of the symbols in this vision is far too involved to explain here in this video, but we will put the video study entitled The Mystery of the Seraphim, Isaiah 6, by Trent Wilde, and a link in the description below, tagged above and in the end screen if you're watching this on YouTube. First, we notice that Yahweh is described as enthroned, and he is called the King. Clearly, this is royal, kingly imagery. Next, we note the seraphim. People in the ancient world knew what seraphim were. They were serpent-like beings, often depicted with wings, and sometimes understood to be intelligent, like they are here in Isaiah 6. They were often used in royal symbolism, and Egyptian pharaohs even wore crowns with images of them. Here, the fact that they are above Yahweh evokes the image of them crowning him. Elsewhere in Isaiah, see Isaiah 14:29 and 36, Isaiah uses seraphim as symbols for members of the house of David. After the seraph touches Isaiah's mouth with the coal and Isaiah is purified from his sins, verses 8 through 13, record a conversation between Yahweh and Isaiah. It reads, Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then I said, Here I am, send me. And he said, Go and tell this people, keep on hearing, but do not understand. Keep on seeing, but do not perceive. Make the heart of this people dull, and their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and return and be healed. Then I said, Lord, how long? And he answered, Until the cities are laid waste and without inhabitant. The houses are without a man. The land is utterly desolate. The Lord has removed men far away, and the forsaken places are many in the midst of the land. But yet a tenth will be in it, and will return, and be for consuming, as a terebinth tree, or as an oak, whose stump remains when it is cut down. So the holy seed shall be its stump. As you can see, Yahweh commissioned Isaiah to bear a message to the people. They were not going to understand it at first, and in fact, for quite a while. Before they would understand it, the land would be laid waste, but there would be a remnant left after it is cut down, just like a stump remains after cutting down a tree. This same symbol shows up later in Isaiah 11, where the house of David is symbolized by the stump of Jesse, the father of David. A branch would grow from the stump, and the house of David would be restored. Israel and Judah would be brought back to the land, and the nations would seek after the house of David. Isaiah 11, chapters 10 through 13. Altogether, the above points help to establish that the vision of Isaiah 6 is about the restoration of the house of David. When Isaiah had the vision, the house of David, the leadership of Judah, was really a mess. The king had been cursed with leprosy, a symbol of sin, for violating the sacred altar of incense, and the people had no true leadership. Isaiah's vision was assuring him that Yahweh was still the true king, and that even though things were bad and they were going to get even worse, the house of David would be restored. There would one day be a Davidic king who would be like Yahweh and who would have attendants who would be like the seraphim, and they would purify the people of sin and establish a kingdom of righteousness. Sin is obviously still ruling in this world. The house of David still has not been reestablished, and we have every reason to believe that Yahweh has not abandoned his promises. Ellen White said, That which God purposed to do for the world through Israel, the chosen nation, he will finally accomplish through his church on earth today. He has let out his vineyard unto other husbandmen, even to his covenant-keeping people who faithfully render him the fruits in their seasons. Never has the Lord been without true representatives on this earth who have made his interests their own. These witnesses for God are numbered among the spiritual Israel, and to them will be fulfilled all the covenant promises made by Jehovah to his ancient people. Today, our leadership in the SDA Church isn't any better off than leadership in the days of Isaiah. There is a lot of controversy, no real unity, and it isn't clear that heaven is being followed. In fact, the evidence indicates that it isn't. But Ellen pointed to a time when the false leaders would be replaced by leaders like David, when trees without fruit are cut down as cumberers of the ground, when multitudes of false brethren are distinguished from the true, then the hidden ones will be revealed to view, and with Hosanna's range under the banner of Christ. Those who have been timid and self-distrustful will declare themselves openly for Christ and his truth. The most weak and hesitating in the church will be as David, willing to do and dare. The deeper the night for God's people, the more brilliant the stars. Satan will sorely harass the faithful, but in the name of Jesus, they will come off more than conquerors. Then will the church of Christ appear fair as the moon, clear as the sun, and terrible as an army with banners. Isaiah isn't the only prophet whose message is relevant for the leadership issues in the church. In fact, Hosea is full of truths that we desperately need when it comes to church leadership. For an eye-opening study on the prophetic message in Hosea and its relation to the leadership crisis in the SDA Church today, see the link in the description below to the study entitled King of Crisis by Trent Wilde. Thank you for staying with us through the entire video. We invite you to visit our website, www.bdsda.com, to learn more about who we are and, just as important, who we are not. Please join us each week as we will continue to offer new and interesting insights for your Sabbath School studies. God bless, and for Mary, many blessings.